Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. The 25th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization took place in Tianjin today. President Xi Jinping chaired the gathering and delivered a keynote speech with calls to reject bloc confrontation. He announced that the SCO Development Bank will be set up as soon as possible. Danny Zhou reports.
The high-stakes SCO Summit took place at the Meijiang Convention and Exhibition Center in Tianjin, putting the northern port city under geopolitical spotlight. President Xi Jinping welcomed leaders from a couple of dozen nations and international organizations. The Chinese head of state could be seen chatting smilingly with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ahead of the meeting. Xi was flanked by Putin and Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev when posing for the group photo. In a keynote speech, Xi said the bloc has grown in influence since its inception 24 years ago. Member states brought about groundbreaking and historic achievements in its development and cooperation, he said, adding China's trade with other SCO countries has topped $2.3 trillion. According to Xi, the SCO, now a 26-nation family, has become the world's largest regional organization with cooperation covering more than 50 areas and a combined economic output of nearly $30 trillion. While its international appeal is increasing day by day, Xi called on states to continue to follow the Shanghai spirit in a world fraught with challenges and changes, and better perform the functions of the bloc. He slammed the bullying behavior from certain countries, as he told attendees to promote a correct view of the World War II history and oppose Cold War mentality. Xi also renewed his push for a multilateral trade system, a universally beneficial and inclusive economy, as well as a more equal and orderly multipolar world. He made several propositions, including seeking common ground while setting aside differences, pursuing mutual benefit and win-win results, and upholding fairness and justice. Striving for real results and high efficiency was another focus. Xi stressed more resources and capacity building are needed to carry out the organization's institutional reforms. Meanwhile, he sought to put into use the SCO Universal Center for Countering Security Challenges and Threats and the Anti-Drug Center. China would accelerate the building of an SCO Development Bank, which is expected to provide stronger underpinnings for security and economic cooperation, she said. The document signed on Monday included a statement on the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War II, which will be marked by a grand military parade in Beijing on Wednesday. Many leaders present at the summit are due to join the commemorative events. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, after talking with President Xi Jinping and India's President Narendra Modi, said the issue of NATO's eastward enlargement would have to be addressed for there to be sustainable peace in Ukraine. The Russian leader is in Tianjin attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. He hailed the group for increasing its influence in resolving current international issues. Putin said Moscow appreciated the efforts and proposals by China, India, and other strategic partners designed to help resolve the Ukrainian crisis. He also described the recent meeting between himself and U.S. President Donald Trump in Alaska as a step in the direction of peace in Ukraine. Back locally, police have arrested 2 doctors from Chung Kwan-O Hospital on suspicion of leaking patients' data without authorization. The hospital has notified both the Medical Council and the Office of the Privacy Commissioner for personal data over the matter. Jackie Lin with details.
Police and Chung Kwan-O Hospital representatives jointly met the press this morning. The hospital said it had received an internal complaint alleging that a staff member accessed a hospital authority clinical database, browsed patients' records without authorization, and shared the internal information with a third party, including patient's address and phone number. The hospital reported a case to police. 2 doctors, 35 years old and 57 years old respectively, were arrested on suspicion of accessing a computer with criminal or dishonest intent. Police say their investigation is now focusing on how many patients have been affected and the suspects' motives to leak the confidential information. Kenny Yun, chief executive of Chung Kwan-O Hospital, says such actions have undermined the trust between patients and doctors, as well as the professional image of medical staff. Earlier, family members of a deceased patient at the hospital received an anonymous email containing surgical details and an audio clip suggesting a doctor admitted to wrongly piercing a patient's blood vessel. The hospital says the doctor in question had misspoken and the patient's death was linked to known surgical complications, and the case was referred to the coroner's court. So does this case involve internal strife? Yun stresses while the hospital authority has effective channels for whistleblowing in the public interest, all actions must remain lawful, noting that such unofficial tip-offs are deemed inappropriate. The hospital says the consultant doctor involved has resigned while the associate consultant has been suspended from duty. Alex Lam, chairman of concern group Hong Kong Patients' Voices, says even with whistleblowing purposes, access to confidential information through illegal channels and data leaks can still come with legal liability and possible consequences for their professional licenses. Family members told TVB News they only learned that the hospital has invited an external team to look into the matter from the press conference, criticizing the hospital's handling as lacking in transparency. Jacqueline, TVB News.
It's the first day of the new school year, and while excitement fills the air, some jitters too, as a school that has students coming back to class is still under construction. Jackie Lin reports.
This primary school in Wong Tai Sin is bustling with students again after the summer holidays. Some students say they're excited to see their classmates again. In Anderson Road's new development zone, scaffolding remains on the outer wall of Erudite Government Primary School, with steel rods, bricks, and construction vehicles around the building. The school said adverse weather conditions during the summer holidays had delayed works, but assured parents that safety measures are in place. Formerly known as Canton Road Government Primary School, the school was relocated from Tsim Sha Tsui. It was built with $480 million in government funding. Secretary for Education Christine Choi says assessments confirm the site is safe. She added that the government is cracking down on suspected cases of shell schools, pledging to revoke school registrations if evidence emerges. Jacqueline, TVB News.
One-time Republican presidential candidate and former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani has been injured in a car crash in New Hampshire over the weekend. Giuliani's head of security, Michael Ragusa, said Giuliani's rental car was struck from behind on a highway Saturday night. Prior to the accident, Giuliani was flagged down by a woman who was the victim of a domestic violence incident, and he contacted police on her behalf. After police arrived, Giuliani continued on his way, and his vehicle was hit shortly after pulling onto the highway. The 81-year-old was being driven in a rented car when his vehicle was struck by another vehicle driven by a 19-year-old woman. Giuliani is recovering from a fractured vertebrae and other injuries. State police are investigating the crash, but no charges have been filed. Welcome back. Israel's military has pushed deeper into Gaza City, detonating explosives and carrying out airstrikes, which killed at least 19 Palestinians today. More than 70 were reported to have died over the weekend as Israel hunts down Hamas and takes over Gaza's most populated area. With most residents forced to move, a post-war plan for Gaza has emerged, which could see a relocation of the entire population. David Garrett reports.
With the sun about to rise over Gaza City, massive explosions in what is now deemed by Israel as a combat zone. The sound of gunfire and loud bangs echoed through the night. Israel has told residents to leave the largest urban area. Critics say they are forcibly displacing hundreds of thousands, with dozens of deaths reported in the last 24 hours. Among the dead, Hamas spokesperson Abu Obaida. He's shown here coordinating a hostage release 6 months ago. Israel calling it a flawless exercise execution and warning Obeida's criminal partners will be next. With escalating attacks and displaced people on the move, a post-war plan has been circulating in Washington, which could see a permanent relocation for residents. The Washington Post reports it's seen a prospectus which details how up to 2 million people would leave voluntarily or face living in restricted zones. The US and Israel are planning on turning Gaza into a tourist and manufacturing destination. Some, like these, are currently refusing to leave Gaza City. Under the proposal, landowners in Gaza would be offered incentives to redevelop their property. The Washington Post says every Palestinian who leaves will get $5,000 in cash, subsidies for rent and food for a year. It's not clear where they would go, with Egypt and Jordan already rejecting President Trump's earlier statements that Gaza could be the Riviera of the Middle East. Israel is further restricting the flow of aid into the Strip as it escalates its campaign against Hamas. Supplies could be coming from Europe. Thousands gathered in Barcelona to wish a floating aid convoy heading to Gaza a safe trip. The global Summit flotilla is carrying food, water and medicine, which was seen being loaded onto the boats.
Anymore, I can't just look at my screen, see what's happening and not do anything. I feel like really the fate of humanity is on the line, and I need to do something, so I'm here.
Activists are demanding safe passage to deliver their supplies, but they will need a humanitarian sea corridor to be open. They are likely to be stopped by the Israelis, as has happened in the past. Palestinian flags flown at the bow as they left for the Middle East. Organisers say with more boats, this floating convoy stands more chance of getting through. Even their strongest supporters on the shoreline were pessimistic. David Garrett, TVB News.
Hundreds of Yemenis mourned the loss of Houthi Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahawi at his funeral. This came as the Houthis have launched a missile at an oil tanker in the Red Sea and stormed UN facilities. An Israeli strike killed al-Rahawi last week. Hundreds of Yemenis attended as military vehicles carrying his coffin and that of other ministers were paraded through Sana'a. The service was held at Shab Mosque and broadcast on Houthi-controlled television. It followed Houthi raids on UN agencies, which saw the rebel group detain and question 11 employees. Centers for the World Food Program, UNICEF, and the WHO were ransacked by armed men. And Stacey Chan was crowned the latest Miss Hong Kong last night. The 26-year-old hopes to continue her studies while contributing to the city's education sector and engaging in charity work at the same time. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Number 9, Stacey Chan.
Securing the tiara in the annual Miss Hong Kong Gala this year was former rhythmic gymnast Stacey Chan. But the retired athlete's success extends much further than just beauty pageants. Having won a number of sporting competitions in the past, the former Hong Kong rhythmic gymnastics representative was previously given a Hong Kong Sports Stars Award. With local athletes' performances ever improving in recent years, Chan also gave her insight into the development of the city's sports sector.
Obviously, sports is a big part of my life, so I'm really passionate about developing in this space, especially within Hong Kong, giving them the resources to not only train, but also resources for them to go abroad and compete and have that competitive experience internationally.
Having studied in the U.S. as a former rhythmic gymnast, Chan said her experience abroad influenced her to further promote sports education as a priority for Hong Kong youth. She has also encouraged that authorities have noticeably increased investment in the local sports sector during her time in the Hong Kong Sports Institute. Chan, who is studying for a PhD at University College London and having earlier obtained a bachelor's degree from University of California, Berkeley, stressed the importance of pivoting the education sector's focus to AI education.
When it comes to creating new technologies, it really starts with developing skills from a young age as well, and especially when it comes to things like artificial intelligence. Once students kind of have a grasp of how they can have power to invent new technology, I think that really empowers them to be creative and think of new ideas.
Meanwhile, the first runner-up to this year's gala was 26-year-old Angela Stanton, who graduated with first-class honors from the University of Cambridge. This, as second runner-up Jane Yuan, a native of Shanghai, wooed the audience with her Cantonese rap performance. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.